I'll start on what is a very difficult day by thanking Carlos. Mendy gave everything he had to our organization for the last 2.5 years. He's an exceptionally talented leader. He's a really good baseball man. Above all else, he's an outstanding person. I enjoyed working with him, and I'm going to miss him. Despite all of our efforts, Mendy's included, we haven't been able to get this going this year. And I take responsibility for that. Ultimately, everything that occurs in baseball operations, including our major league record, is my responsibility. I also have a responsibility to push us forward, to look for solutions, and to make difficult decisions and change when I think it's needed. I understand there's no magic bullet here. There's no one change that immediately is going to turn this around. This is incremental. This is day-to-day. This is doing the work every single day to get us back on track. I've asked Andy Green to help us with that work for the remainder of the season. He'll be our interim manager through the rest of the season, and at that point, we'll conduct a full managerial search. I think Andy's got a wealth of experience to help us in this role in a variety of different positions. His familiarity with our players, some of our players, and our processes will help, and he's going to provide a fresh perspective, new eyes, some new thoughts. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Steve.
David, the results haven't been there since day one this year, but you've remained steadfast in your support for Carlos. What changed that made this happen right now?
I don't think there's one thing. We were steadfast in our support for Carlos. I was steadfast in my support for Carlos because we believed in Carlos. And we believed that collectively, with him helping us lead this, we were going to turn it around. And we haven't. And in some cases, it's gotten worse. And when that happens, at some point, you got to make a change. So there's not one moment or one thing or one observation, but it was time. And so we did this.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems as though you're pretty emotional about this. Just what are you feeling on a personal level that's leading to that right now?
Look, in these roles, you're a partner with the manager. Carlos and I spoke almost every day for the last 2.5 years. So these are very difficult decisions. I have a ton of respect for him. At the same time, this is my job, and I have a responsibility in the best of my ability and the best of my judgment to lead the organization. That includes making difficult decisions. It includes making change when change is needed, and in my estimation, our estimation, change is needed right now.
You last one from me. You had also said that ultimately it falls on you, the record. You remade this entire team this offseason. You were very confident in what it could do. As you have evaluated what's happened, where do you think your initial projections and thoughts fell short?
Yeah, I think that evaluation is ongoing and will continue to be ongoing. Clearly, we've fallen short. I still have confidence in the talent that's in our room. I believe in the talent that's in our room. But belief on its own does not lead to results, and I understand that. We need better play. We need better production. And my focus right now, and Andy's focus right now, is going to be doing everything we can to put our guys in the best positions to succeed.
Mike.
David, you said you consider it a partnership with Mendy. That said, have you considered stepping aside? Is that something you've thought about?
I have not.
Why not?
I believe that we are building the foundation of an organization that can deliver what we all want. I don't believe that our record on the field this year is indicative of some of the advancements that we've made in an organization. but clearly our record is nowhere good enough.
And do you believe you have ownership support to continue in this job?
Yes.
What makes you think that?
Steve and I are talking on a regular basis, and he certainly indicated that I have his support.
Bruce.
David, are the players that you brought in, do you think the wrong players for this ball club, or do you think these players have underachieved?
Like I think regardless of which side of that paradigm you fall on, the end result is we have not been good enough. And we need to evaluate not only why that is, but in the moment right now, do everything we can to get our players, our roster, our team as a whole moving forward. We've talked about, why, right? Why when you go through a half a season like this with players that in the past have performed at a really high level, it's never just one thing. There are multiple things that are contributing to this, and we need to address all of them.
What is your message to your passionate fan base right now?
I understand our fans' frustration and anger. I think I share that. And we will do everything we can to improve.
Joe.
David here in the middle. Was the decision solely your decision, or was ownership involved in the decision?
Any decision like this, of this magnitude for an organization, is an organizational decision. And we were aligned that this was the right thing to do.
And why should fans have confidence in you, because you mentioned the team's current performance, to be able to help turn this around?
Yeah, I understand fan skepticism. If I were sitting in the fan seat, I would share that. From my perspective, what I can do and what I will do is, for as long as I'm sitting in this seat, work as hard as I can with the people around me to do everything we can to push this organization forward. And I think we're going to be able to do that.
Laura.
Just given last year's collapse, the reconstruction of the roster and the new coaching staff, do you personally feel that you put Carlos Mendoza in a position to succeed this season?
I think when you look at our record right now, this is not where we want to be. We all came into the season believing we were going to have a better year. I thought we were going to have a better year. Our players thought we were going to have a better year. Certainly Mendy thought we were going to have a better year. We haven't.
And just in terms of like the last calendar year, how much of those failures do you put on Carlos Mendoza?
This is never on one person. Certainly not all on Carlos. As I said, I take responsibility for our record on the field. I take responsibility for the entirety of our baseball operations group.
Chelsea.
You had kind of talked about believing in the talent and trying to get things started to put guys in position to succeed. When you look at where you are now, are you thinking about still kind of trying to turn this around in the immediate future, or how much of this switch can we take as a signal that you're kind of thinking longer term?
Okay, I understand we have a uphill battle ahead of us this year, but we're not turning the page. We all remain very focused on doing everything we can to win as many games this year, while recognizing where we are in the standings.
Abby.
Do you think that Andy Green's going to be able to get more from these players than what they've already given this year, and why is he the guy who can get more out of them? In what ways can he?
I think sometimes a new voice, a new perspective, a new view helps. And sometimes it's really difficult to explain why or how. But at this point, it was time to try. I think Andy, just by virtue of his experiences, both before he got here and during his time with the Mets, is going to bring something a little bit different. And I think for us, it was time to try something a little different.
Disha.
Just how was this news delivered to the clubhouse, and how did they handle it?
Yeah, I called a number of our players. We had a couple of other senior executives call some players, and then we just held a team meeting. Our players loved Mendy, and Mendy deserved to be loved. So this hits them, but they're also professionals, and they're going to go out and compete at a very high level at 7 p.m. tonight.
Joel.
I appreciate you said it's a organizational decision, but did Steve come to you to fire Mendy, or did you go to him?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of Steve and my conversations. We talk pretty much every day about the performance of our team, and we came to the decision that this was the right move.
And is it particularly tough to do this because there is a chance, a pretty strong chance, you're playing for the future at some point this year? You are removing your farm director to do this job. That dynamic, how tough was it?
Yeah, I think we have confidence in the executives who are leading our organization. I have confidence in the leadership of our player development group.
Tyler.
David, what was it about this group that gave you confidence initially that it could win?
Yeah, we believed and still believe we have a lot of really talented players in that clubhouse. A lot of players who have performed at a high level throughout their careers, and we just haven't gotten that going yet this year.
You look back on, because it was a big remake over the offseason and letting go a lot of guys who had been here for a while. Do you second guess any of that? I mean, you hear fans chanting for Pete Alonso the other night. What did that feel like for you?
Yeah, I think my focus continues to be on how do we get the most out of this present group, and that's where my energy is going to be spent.
Peter.
David, when did you inform Carlos of the news, and how did he take the conversation?
Yeah, Carlos and I spent some time together this morning. Carlos is the ultimate professional, and he took it as the ultimate professional does.
Jorge.
David, you mentioned it's gotten worse. The 6 errors on Wednesday, the ugly losses here the last week. Do you think Carlos just lost the clubhouse?
No, I don't think Carlos lost the clubhouse.
And do you think Andy Green come in and change the trajectory of this particular group?
Look, as I said, I don't think there's a flip of a switch. I don't think there's a magic bullet. I think Andy will come in and provide different perspective, a different style. And at this point, I thought a change was needed.
When it comes to the trade market, is there a possibility that you add to win this season in the next few weeks, or is that only a August 3rd we'll sell if needed if we decide to do that?
Yeah, I'm not focused on the trade deadline at all right now.
Jerry.
David, you said you're building the foundation of the organization and get it to where you want it to be long term. How do you juxtapose that with the most visible part of the organization being on pace for its worst season since 2003?
Yeah, clearly what we are building only matters if you succeed at the major league level. The major league level is what matters. Wins and losses at the major league level at the end of the day is what this is all about. That's why I'm here, and we need to get better there.
Gary.
David, you not only made a lot of changes with your players in the offseason, but you basically revamped your entire coaching staff. Do you think that the lack of continuity has had anything to do with the performance of the team?
I certainly think it's possible. I think it's possible. As I said before, I think when you have a first half like this, you play like this for a prolonged stretch, it's never just one thing. It's probably a variety of things, and that is possible.
Roger.
David, I'm asking because I didn't really feel like we got a very clear answer earlier. In what ways do you think that Mendoza was given the right thing, put in the right position to succeed?
Yeah, I think we all felt as though we had a talented team coming into this year. I still feel we have a talented team, and we haven't played well enough. I would certainly admit that. I think Mendy would admit that as well.
Joel.
David, two things are possible. You're calling Andy Green an interim. Is he in play for the job? Is he auditioning right now?
No. Andy will return to the front office following this year.
And do you have any feel right now off of what you saw out of Mendy and having gone through a cycle in New York? qualities that you think you want to emphasize in whoever does take this job next?
I'm not going to speculate on that right now.
Jerry.
David, this is the third managerial change of the year. Philadelphia had some immediate success. Boston did not. Do you feel like should have made this move sooner?
We, as I said before, we had faith in Mendy. We had faith collectively that we were going to turn this around. We haven't, and it got to the point where we felt as though a change was necessary.
Last one, Mike.
David, Mendy's first year, you guys go to the NLCS. He's a finalist for manager of the year. You and many people in baseball, really extolled his virtues and, lauded him for the job that he did. Last June, you guys have the best record in baseball. I mean, could you have fathomed, a year later, just slightly more than a year later, this, being where you're at right now, and he's not in that seat anymore?
Yeah, I would say I'd still extol Mendy's virtues, look, we have not played good enough. That's the end. That's what this is about. We have not won enough games, and we need to do better.
Disha.
Just given the roster construction, you taking responsibility for it, do you feel like you have blind spots in this role, and do you think you'll look for a GM potentially to help that over the offseason in addition to the managerial search?
I think we are always evaluating how we can get better as a front office that's inclusive of personnel additions, process modifications, and so I'm not going to close the door on anything.
Last one, Abby.
Just given some of the 6-error game the other day, some misplays that you guys have had this season, do you feel that there is enough of a culture of accountability in the clubhouse and just around the team in general?
Yeah, I have not felt we have an accountability problem. We have an execution problem. We haven't played good enough baseball, and we got to play better baseball.
What do you attribute some of the lack of, I don't want to say preparation, but
It's
some
not.
of the mental mistakes?
It's not a lack of preparation.
So I don't want to use the word preparation, but just what do you attribute some of these mistakes and mental mistakes we've been seeing on the fields?
It's very difficult for all of us to understand how we have made the type of mistakes on the field that we have made. It's not characteristic of the types of players who are making those mistakes, and we've got to do better.